You've just accessed Hardware is Forever, your source for the expert insights, ideas, and innovations you need to do more in the electronics manufacturing industry. From optimization to operations, join us as we put the pieces together for a better approach to manufacturing. Let's go.
This is Hardware is Forever. I'm Chris Vintliff, and Jay Patel is with us again. He's the CEO at Amtech. And Jay, we've had some really, I think, interesting sort of series dialogues around Deming's 14 points, around lean manufacturing. We're starting something new in this episode, which is HMLV production. High mix, low volume. What is that, Jay, and why does it matter?
So I think this is a milestone moment. This is the first series that we've actually authored. Before, we've worked off of Deming and then worked off of the principles of lean. Now we're talking about a little bit about HMLV, or high mix, low volume production, and why it matters. And it matters significantly because of the problems that we're solving now. And I think we can talk about it a little bit, especially with the implementation of AI and all these other tools that we have. So what is high mix, low volume? It meaning, like, we're not talking about standardization and thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of products that everybody has to conform to, rather than making products that conform to people. And I think in contrast to that is like the high volume production is like, if you want a widget, you have to pick two widgets, and either widget doesn't really work well for your application. And then you got to make it work, and you got to manage that and make it work for you rather than it working. You have to work for it rather than it working for you. And that's the difference between high mix, low volume products and production, is that you can create something that there may not be millions or thousands of it. Maybe there may be 5 of them, but it is tailored for you to be able to unlock the value that you need for your particular application. And that happens. It could be, easily. You could talk about 3D printing. So now we have the capability of creating 3D printed tooling that helps us out in the shop floor, provide better quality, better consistency, better efficiency. Before, that didn't happen because everything had to be standardized. And if it was going to be customized, the cost was so high that it just didn't make sense at that time. So now, high mix, low volume, you get to unlock the value that you want to unlock and leverage your competitive advantage more than trying to comply to the standard things that are out there in the high volume production or the high standardized market. So I don't know if that made sense, but I think as we talk about it, we'll dive into it.
It did make sense, and for me, it's see if this connects. High mix, low volume is a little bit one to many. So we can build this one thing, and then we can all kind of use it, versus many to one, which is there's a zillion of these, and they're all going to go out, but they're the same thing over and over again. So there's more of a customization or a tailorization or a bespoke sort of nature to it, where it's what you need. And it's not mass distributed or mass produced. It's in small batches or even singles, so that you can get the thing done in a way that works for you. In other words, decommoditize whatever it is that you do. Is that accurate?
Correct. I think that's where you kind of, I think even if you look at it, every the back in the day or even right now, everybody's weapons are somewhat customized to the size of their hand and how strong they are and how balanced it was. It was always decommoditized. It was a very high mix, low volume type of craft. And I think as standardization came up, which was great, but I think now we have the technology to go back and go back to high and really do a great job at implementing high mix, low volume products. And a lot of these things, it starts with, like, whether we believe it or not, is medical devices and aerospace. We see planes everywhere, but the volumes of planes, there aren't, hundreds or millions of planes going in the new planes going into the air every year. Hundreds of thousands.
Service since like from the 80s or something, from the 70s. Like, those planes have been around.
So that is a high mix, low volume type of product. And as we get more and more AI in there, and as we get more and more horsepower and expertise built into these different things, I mean, we're talking about, AI that can solve complex medical conditions and create like medicine for one, and that is a high mix, low volume, but that is effective, because that is what is needed right now. And I think like as we go towards this arena or this area of high mix, low volume and leverage all the tools and everything that's coming out, there are going to be advantages like in medical device, in aerospace, and even in our organization, we can create things that help us service our customers better, whether it's software automation, whether it's hardware automation. So, and even in products, a customer may end up having a project or an application that they don't need a lot of, but because we have this type of high mix, low volume capability, they can get what they need and at an affordable rate and actually solve that problem that otherwise would have been unsolvable if they needed the volume to be able to support that type of development in that market.
What are some, like when we're mass producing a thing, we can really start to sort of perfect it, and we can start to the supply chain, even we can get it down to the penny, because we know, and we can put competitors to work if we want to, vendors pitted against each other so that we can get them, because it's easy enough to get. But that's not true with HMLV. What are some of the unique challenges that HMLV presents?
Well, I think the challenges there is definitely you got to manage the supply chain. So you got to be smart in the type of supply chain that you select. You want to get something that is robust enough but generic enough to be able to support your products. And that's really where, if you look at the entire industry, that's where we have strong distribution, strong suppliers, strong engineers that come in and are able to do that. And the reason why we're able to connect more and more is because through information technology, through APIs, through lessons learned, through ECAD systems and softwares and regular mechanical CAD systems, like they have all of this stuff built in, that they have libraries that the risks that we used to face, we've learned from, and the systems automatically provide a lot of expertise and say, hey, this is not going to work. You should go down this path or this path or that path to make sure that we get we're able to deliver what we need and what we want. So I think as an aggregate, high mix, low volume grows, which it has in the United States, there are support systems that come and find, hey, there's opportunity to support this high mix, low volume, whether it's, like I said, distribution, suppliers, software, engineers, whatever it may be. I think that ecosystem grows and feeds into that high mix, low volume type of environment. But it is very difficult to make sure that, we select solutions that support the high mix, low volume environment. We should not take a solution that is catered for mass production, because what happens there is when mass production ends, the vendors and the manufacturers for that particular product that you were going to use stop building it. That you'll see that with a lot with the Bluetooth modules. As soon as Apple or somebody changes Bluetooth modules and Bluetooth chips, the support for that particular chipset will quickly start disappearing. So then you have to keep up with the development cycle of Apple or other people. So that's not in your control anymore.
That's interesting. This idea of the things that aren't in your control. How does HMLV separate me from the status quo? How is it a differentiator? How does it give me a competitive advantage? Does it give me a competitive advantage? Is it just a different way, not necessarily a better way? Depends on a lot of things, I know, but what's your perspective on that?
So it's always about having the sharper sword or sharper knife. Like, you can deal with that. You can do what everybody else does, but if you can create a different competitive advantage, that helps you and like it leverages your strengths rather than having you learn how to use some other tool that doesn't leverage your strength. I think the ability to grow and again leverage your strength and provide that differentiator for your customers increases significantly. So you're not trying to let's talk about ERP systems, right? Like you could have you could buy ERP systems like SAP or NetSuite or whatever, but then you are managing SAP and NetSuite just like everybody else is. And so you're just in this kind of rat race of this type of thing. But if you create your own ERP system or whatever, now what you're doing is you have the ability to leverage your understanding and the way that you see it and create a bespoke ERP system. And I'm just saying ERP, it could be a CRM system, it could be outbound sales, it could be inventory, whatever it is. But then you have this thing that gives you that competitive advantage. And there's pluses and minuses to it, but really you get to take where you're at and build solutions that take you to the next level. And really in America, that's there's going to be consumer electronics. And I think, once you've designed it, like Apple, Google, Samsung, they make one new model every year. So launching that as a high volume game, but then there's always these other niches that people create electronics or products for that really take these particular people and these needs to another level and automate it so then that they can add that much more value to the market. I think, and with more and more variety and more innovation, people get better and better solutions then.
Does it also create a different or unique customer experience?
I think, yeah. If the customer provides a unique high mix, low volume solution, that provides value in that area. It's like, it's like the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of the products out there mass produced may be good enough, but there's this 20% niche that needs products that are very, very unique. And that is the market that is growing, I think, is they need these niche solutions that are easy to implement. And American market is all over that right now.
Where are we headed with this series? What are we going to talk about? What are we going to explore?
I think we're going to talk about, what makes, we kind of talked about the need of it, but how to facilitate high mix, low volume production at an organizational level. And what are some tenets that are required if you're thinking about high mix, low volume? Because this is different than punch and crunch. Like, when you're in a high mix, low volume environment, you're working on, rather than working on one product in 10 days, you're working on 10 products in one day and trying to ship that out to the customer. So I think the whole mindset and foundational principles are going to be different than a mass manufacturing type of environment.
I'm looking forward to it. Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech. We're getting into a new series. We're welcoming you aboard. Jay, thanks as always. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us, and a special thanks to our subscribers and followers. Consider becoming one today wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. Hardware is Forever is designed, tested, engineered, and built by the manufacturing experts at Amtech. Learn more and let us help you envision your next project with a free Design for Manufacturing assessment at buildamtech.com/DFM.